welcome. It's 6 p.m. Monday in New York, and it's 8 a.m. on Tuesday here in Sydney, in Australia. And welcome to the Mind Behind Leadership here live on talkradio.nyc. Obviously, kind of doing this show, we have I have a lot of chats with people about leadership, and everyone seems to have an opinion about what it means, what we need to be doing, where it is, what it actually encompasses, and even where it's done. And here's the thing, it's all around us. It's kind of like to think of it more about, it's about how we influence people, how we have an impact on others. It's part of our everyday. We've got lots of opportunities to influence, but how do we do it? One of the things I'm hearing consistently over the last little while has been that people can get overwhelmed. There's so much to do, so many things to get involved with, things that maybe we talk about what we miss out on. So today, in today's show, we're lucky enough to have Wendy Ellin, who's going to talk to us round about productivity, what it means, how we can do it, and kind of how we can maybe take some of those opportunities to get past overwhelm and maybe make a little bit of a difference on other people's lives. So let me just give a bit of background here. Let's get a bit of background. Wendy, I hope you're sitting comfortably because here's where I make the big introduction. Wendy's a workplace productivity consultant, an international speaker, a coach, and a #1 best-selling author of Working from Home. How's that working for you? Her insights into living an organized life are shared in her presentations with irreverence, humor, and a level of passion that motivates her audience to take immediate action. I'm looking forward to this, Wendy. And she talks about real-life challenges that we all experience. And here, that's the key about leadership. This isn't theory. This is about us actually thinking about how it is in context, such as email overload, being on time or not. Having lived in New York, I know what that's like. Reasonable expectations for getting things done, and much more. And now that we're all working from home, or part of it, it's certainly a large part of our life, the challenges are new, they're vast, they're real, and they're here to stay. Wendy believes that it's one thing to love what you do, another to love the way that you do it. I got that right. I've been practicing that one. Wendy, it's great to see you. We can't quite hear you at the moment. There we go.
Graham, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Being on time. It's a big one, isn't it? It's a big one. We'll kind of dig into that in a little while. We're really, really curious, Wendy. Kind of just, where did this all start? What's your background? How do we, I'm really always curious about how people get to where they are now.
Okay. So I started out, as a kid. I'm one of 5 kids. I come from a blended family. My mother and father had 2 kids. She got divorced. She married a man who had 3 kids. So at age 28 years old, my mother was the mother of 5 children, ages 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So as you can imagine, she ran a very, very tight ship. Like really, the one word to describe my upbringing would have to be rules. We had rules for everything, Graham, you name it. We had rules for TV watching, eating, dating, dressing, weekends, you name it. And so I grew up in this very tight ship environment. And then I grew up and I got into corporate America. I was in the advertising world for many, many years, and went from the agency side to the sales side and started out selling newspaper ads and then TV ads. And then I ended with radio time. And I wound up observing the way people operated in their environment. I worked in a cubicle. I was 100% commission. And I would come in every day and I was astounded at what a mess everybody around me was. Paper everywhere, never on time, never honored their word, and were always stressed out. And I couldn't imagine, even as successful as people were, how they could operate that way. People used to always make fun of me because I never had anything on my desk except the one thing I was working on right there, right then. So I left the corporate world in 2000. I had enough. I was done selling radio time. I was working in a toxic environment, and I just couldn't do it another minute. And I realized that I had a gift, and that is that I get things done in a way that serves me well. I have no stress about the way I operate. I have systems. I follow them. They work. And at the end of the day, I get to turn my head off when the light goes off at night because I'm not worried about all the things that I didn't get to or that could have fallen through the cracks. And so I literally created a business from a natural talent and started talking to organizations about disorganization and who needed help and what kind of help did they need. And this was just right at the time when the internet was starting. So I saw so much overwhelm long before we had Ping, FaceTime, Messenger, email. That had just begun right when I left the corporate world. Now, fast forward to 21 years later, I'm doing this and everyone is suffering. And it's not that COVID made people disorganized. It's that COVID shed a light on all the people that have been disorganized all these years. So here we are, 21 years later, I'm into this business. I am 100% committed to getting people to see that how they operate in their environment is their choice. 100%.
Really curious. So there's a lot in there, Wendy. I'm curious. Let's pop back a moment. 5 kids. What were the ages? Did you say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I was right in the middle.
3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you said there were rules. So you talk about a natural talent. Is this something that was just kind of naturally around you, where you had to be organized? There had to be organized to get everybody out to school on time, make sure everybody was fed right and everybody was clothed and clean and all these kind of things?
Messy wasn't an option. Running late was not an option. It wasn't worth it. It would not be worth the consequences to not be organized, not be on time, not do what you say you're going to do. I mean, this is how I was raised. And I couldn't imagine 28 years old, 5 kids. So I get it. However she did it, this is how she had to do it, and I get it. But I learned really early on what the value of being organized was. I never spent time looking for things. I knew where everything was because I put it back where it belonged, right? Yeah. So I see the value. Here's the thing. People don't take this on unless there's something in it for you, right? Mm-hmm. So for those of you that are listening, the question I throw out there is, what's in it for you to get organized? Will you have better sleep? Could you make more money? Will you get to spend more time with your family? Could you get really focused and get everything that you said you were set out to get, everything you set out to get done today? Are you having a hard time with relationships? Are you teaching your children how to live? There are so many reasons why people do this, and it always boils down to what's in it for you.
I suppose that kind of fair on most things. In we talk about structures, which I'm really keen to kind of, as we go through this, talk about the mindset, because it's really easy to know how to organize ourselves. We can pick up a lot of books that will tell us how to organize ourselves. It's actually the doing it that's the issue. It's not the knowing. Absolutely. So we'll definitely dig into that. Curious, you made a comment about COVID kind of bringing this out. Did I hear that? So disorganized people it kind of highlighted it? Well,
when March 2020 came and I saw my husband back up his convertible into our driveway and unload his office, and I looked at him and said, "What are you doing?" And he looked at me funny and said, "What do you think I'm doing? I'm moving home like the rest of the world," right? All of a sudden I realized, oh, so this is how it's going to affect me. Here I'd been working out of my home office for 21 years, me and my puppy Ruby, getting things done, no interruptions, no distractions, uber organized, and all of a sudden he's in the mix. It took a while for us to figure out where is he going to settle. He started at the kitchen counter, then he went to the dining room table, then he decided he would try the screened-in porch. Finally, I said, "Dude, pick a room. I don't care what it is, just pick one and stay there." And, I said to him, "Why don't we buy a cheap writing desk and put you upstairs in the sitting area outside our bedroom, because we never use that area." And he literally looked at me, Graham, and said, "We're not going to spend money on this. It's not going to last." Famous last words. By July, we had the writing desk upstairs, and he's been working there ever since. So I started to panic for the world. I literally said to myself, wow, all these disorganized people now have to figure out how to go home and work amongst their disorganized life. How are they going to do it? How are they going to figure out where the best place is to work? How are they going to work next to their kid who's online trying to learn? Right? So that's why I wrote the book. I literally left town, went to an Airbnb, wrote the book, Working from Home, How's That Working for You? Got it to #1 bestseller, and my business, you can only imagine what's happened since there, because people need tools. Mm-hmm. And so it's not that COVID made everybody disorganized. It just brought all the disorganized people up to the surface because the suffering is now revealed. And I talk about how this is sort of like people in organizations who are disorganized. Look, nobody really raises their hand and says, help me, I'm drowning, I'm disorganized, I don't know how to deal with my inbox, I don't know how to deal with paper clutter. People don't admit that. They're not proud of being that way. So a lot of people suffer in silence. Mm-hmm. If I can get to learning and development and HR and culture people in an organization, which are the people that I'm talking to say, you don't know what you don't know about your people. Let's find out how many people actually need this tool, because more people do than you even know. They're just afraid to tell you.
Curie, this is just raises a question right away. How does someone, this might sound like a really strange question, how does someone know if they're disorganized?
Wait, say that again. How does someone?
How does someone know if they're disorganized? Because my guess is there's a lot of people out there that's just how I work. That's how I am. That's it. We kind of own it.
Right. So here's how you know. How do you feel? Everything we do, Graham, literally everything we do in life, I believe, always boils down to one thing and one thing only. And that is, how does it make you feel? Right? Mm-hmm. If you're stressed out, if you're exhausted, if you can't even focus because you got so much coming at you at one time, you don't know what to do first, and it's a problem, you see it as a problem, maybe you want to take a look at the way you're working, right? So I don't have any stress around the way I operate. I love what I do, not only because I love what I do when I'm out there making a difference in people's lives, but I love the way I do it. I don't have any stress about the way I operate because I am in control. And it's huge when you get in control versus it controlling you.
We're going to go for a break in a moment. When we come back, I want to dig into just something you said there is, let's find out about your people. So one of the things I'm finding, we're working with global organizations, we're working with organizations here in Australia, and there's a real lack of data at the moment. There's a real lack of information. There's a real lack of kind of understanding of what's really going on. And it just feels that a lot of the times that people drift. So I'm curious about how we kind of get that data, how we get those points of understanding that. And also, I'm going to be really curious here what your definition of stressed is, because I know it means something different to everyone. You're listening to The Mind Behind Leadership. We're really lucky this morning. We have this afternoon, we've got Wendy Ellin with us, who is a productivity consultant. You're listening to Mind Behind Leadership here live on talkradio.nyc. This is brought to you by Dale Carnegie here in Australia, and we'll be back right after these.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant. And on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you on edge? Hey, we live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargman, the host of The Edge of Every Day, which airs each Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and perspectives about pushing boundaries and exploring our rough edges. That's The Edge of Every Day on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Wendy Ellin here on talkradio.nyc, the mind behind leadership. Wendy, you mentioned just before the break that you talk to organizations or disorganizations. I love that one. I'm going to tell you now, I'm stealing it. I'll give you credit the first time I use it. But we speak with disorganizations just about the teams and finding out what's actually going on. How do you do that?
So the first thing I do is talk to organizations about ensuring that we're not making anybody wrong for the way they operate, right? Like if I made you wrong, if I made all my clients wrong for the way they operate, I wouldn't have a business. I've been doing this for a long time. And trust me when I tell you, I have seen everything. I've seen the worst of the dysfunctional, the disorganized, the chaotic. And as long as they're committed to transforming the way they live, I'm committed to getting them there. So that's number one, is really letting people know we're not making you wrong. You're not going to get fired. We want to reveal this so that we know who to help, right? And then there's just a basic assessment that you take that basically tells you on a scale of 1 to 10, I got this, or I'm a train wreck, or somewhere in between. Right? And you got to be, the first problem, obviously, to getting a solution to anything is admitting you have a problem. So let's talk about, where do the problems lie? Maybe you're uber on time all the time. You're totally committed to that, but you have 10,000 emails in your inbox and you're a little worried about what's down there that you can't see, right? So there are people who are not completely disorganized from A to Z, but they have a couple of issues where it comes to setting boundaries around their time. That's a big one. People don't want to say no, thank you. So they say yes and yes and yes and yes and yes. And then before you know it, you're overwhelmed, you're overscheduled, and you don't know how to get out of it. So we just literally take an assessment. We say to our people, we care about you. And we want to make sure you have all the tools to stay engaged, enjoy what you're doing, and give us your best work.
Now you've pricked my interest here. When you say you've seen the worst, what kind of things are we talking about? I get no names, I get that, but what kind of things are we talking about?
People who can't even walk into their office. They now have to revert to working from their dining room table. Their office, you can't actually get in the space. There is crap everywhere. And it gets to a point where you don't know where to start. So you just keep loading it up and loading it up and loading it up. And if you possibly can, you shut the door. It's crazy what I've seen. I don't deal with hoarders. I'm not educated to deal with hoarders, nor am I interested, but I sort of go right up to that line where someone is about to be, and they're in pain. They're in so much pain about the way they're living. They're mortified, they're embarrassed, but they don't have the tools, which is why I can't make anybody wrong for this. They just didn't learn it.
You've got me looking around my office now. Now you've got me worried. about how I'm saying, what's this
judgment.
line? What's this line for the hoarders? And
I wish I could describe it. I'm trying to find the words to describe what that line is. Desperation. You know, people will get to a point where they're desperate. And here's the thing, Graham, I really like to focus. My work is mainly focused in the workplace. It's not in home. It's not in the home. Now, chances are how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're disorganized in your work, most likely you're disorganized in your life. And certainly this toolbox that I have applies to every aspect of your life. But I care deeply about the people who work full time because that's where they spend more time than not in their work. And when you set yourself up for success every day, work looks very different. It doesn't feel bad.
it is, and again, that's where this has all become blurred. So kind of you said you started this out 20 odd years ago. In the last 2 years has blurred those lines. So how's that impacted about how you're working, how people kind of interacting with you?
Well, a lot of people are reaching out because they now see the value in offering a toolbox like this to everybody in the organization versus just the ones they think might be disorganized. So if you don't pull anybody out of the crowd, but you say, this is something that we're going to offer to everybody, use which tools you need, don't use which tools you don't need. I never want to put a square peg in a round hole. I don't want to train anybody. If what you're doing is working, keep doing it. But if something's not working, I have a tool for that. So now they're all the talk about hybrid. And I keep saying, it doesn't matter where you work. It doesn't matter who you work for, and it doesn't matter what you do. It matters how you do your work. It's all about the how.
It's interesting. You know, I'm going to come back to something that might get in the way of the how. We spoke about, you used the word stress a few times. How does that show up for people in your experience? Because the reason they ask the question is we've all got our own definition of what stress looks like. So what makes me stressed might not make you, and vice versa. But so we kind of put a label on it, which is difficult to define, but we feel it. I'm just curious how that shows up.
Okay, so here's how stress shows up for me. You ready? Stress shows up for me if I am getting to a point where I see that I can't honor my word. Okay? Because my core value, my number one core value is reliability. It's who I am in the world. Okay? So when I tell you that I'm going to get you something on Friday, Graham, and Thursday rolls around and I know I have some preparation work to do in order to get that to you on Friday, the anxiety, the stress will build up in me. If I'm running late to a meeting and there's traffic or construction and all of a sudden I'm at a standstill, I start to get stressed out. I pick up the phone, I call somebody, I say, look, I want you to know right now I'm in traffic. I might be a couple of minutes late. I have to do that. I'm wired that way. But stress for other people who are disorganized comes in the form of unhealthy eating, weight gain, lethargy, binge watching, not being able to have honest conversations with people you live with, depression. You know, that it plays out in so many people's lives differently. As you said.
So I'm my guess is getting people to be kind of honest where they are, because do assessments, and the assessments are always only work where people are really honest.
100%.
And the amount of times I've seen people not answering honestly and then say I'm fine, and we know that that's kind of not the case. What's your experience around that, where people are actually looking at how they're working?
Ask me that again.
What's your experience of that, kind of when we're asking people about how they're working? How honest are they?
So here's the thing. This is what's so interesting. I don't know why people want to tell me their deep, dark secrets, but something about me, people want to tell me their deep, dark secrets.
It's just, Wendy, you can share them. It's just us.
Yeah.
It's just
So
us
when I,
listening.
so when I say to somebody, tell me what's going on in your life, right? And here's the other thing, not only what's going on in your life, what do you want your life to look like that it doesn't look like right now? Because it's really about the end result. Remember, it's what's in it for you. What is in it for you, Graham, to want to get organized? What do you not have in your life that you have? You want to maybe work 4 days a week instead of 5, right? Do you want to feel really good about what you got done at the end of every day versus feeling defeated? Do you want to make more money? Right? So it's always about what the end game is. Because if someone says to me, I want to in 3 months make $1 million more than I'm making now, I'm not your person. I'm not going to commit to you being able to do that. I'll commit to you being able to make more money, but I have to be realistic. I'm one of the most realistic human beings I know. Like, I clearly understand that I only have 24 hours in a day, and I work according to that. Most people don't. They book themselves as if they have 36 hours in a day. And they were never going to get to that all day. So really having an honest conversation with people, and people want to tell me things, and they do. They'll say to me, my husband is so over it. He is so sick of living with me this way. And now he's blaming me because he sees that our 10-year-old is just as disorganized as I am. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. Because this should not be coming in between you and your husband, nor should this be example you're setting for your child.
A coach being realistic, really? So I know, who would have thought that a coach could be realistic? To kind of talk me through your mindset with that.
But you know what? I'm a little sassy. I'm a New Yorker, as you probably well can imagine right now. And from my accent, I'm living in the South. There's nothing Southern about me. And I'm a little irreverent. And that's because I'm trying to get you to change the way you live. And that's not an easy thing to do. You've been living your certain way for how many, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So when you're trying to get someone to change the way they live, I kind of have to be as tough love as I can. And that's what people want. People work with me because they want the tough love. They want the accountability. That's what's going to get them through to where they want. Right? They want me to call them on what they're not doing. They want me to hold them accountable. And I'm willing to do it.
Wendy, it comes across as I'm absolutely convinced that you're definitely willing to do it. When we come back after the next break, I'm kind of curious. Let's have a think about kind of what is in it for the organizations, because we're talking a lot about what's in it for the individuals, quite rightly, because that's where we want the movement. But what's in it for organizations? I'm really interested in kind of getting some examples, some ideas on what difference it's made for businesses. And maybe kind of what's the biggest challenges as we know, being organized, being productive, especially nowadays, is, and I will say especially nowadays, I actually don't think COVID's changed a whole lot for us, but this is the kind of thing that it has impacted. So kind of what may be some of the biggest challenges you've had, apart from your husband working in every different room, but some of the challenges you've had over the last little while. And you're listening to The Mind Behind Leadership. We're with Wendy Ellin, and we will be back right after these messages.
I am Joseph Franklin McElroy, host of the new podcast, Gateway to the Smokies. It airs on talkradio.nyc every Tuesday night from 6 p.m. to 7. Every episode is dedicated to memorable experiences in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and surrounding areas. This show features experts and locals who will expound upon the richness of culture, history, and adventure that awaits you in the Smokies. Tune in every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7 on talkradio.nyc.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a small business trying to navigate the COVID-19 related employment laws? Hello, I'm Eric Sauver, employment law business law attorney and host of the new radio show, Employment Law Today. On my show, we'll have guests to discuss the common employment law challenges business owners are facing during these trying times. Tune in on Tuesday evenings from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Mind Behind Leadership. We have Wendy Ellin with us. Wendy, you got me nervous there. I saw you rolling up your sleeves. I don't know if that means I'm in trouble or not. I don't know if I've done something. We talk about one of the things I've got to tell you. You said that reliability is kind of that's your value. That's that number one. It's kind of high up there for me. One of the things I noticed when I moved to New York, every time I put on a program or a session, people would turn up late. I could never quite understand. And they told me it was because of the subways. And anybody I spoke to told me the subways were really desperately bad. And I kind of put up with it. And it actually even took me quite a few weeks to realize I took the same subways. I was there on time. And it wasn't until that moment that I become less tolerant with people coming in late all the time. And I suppose it's kind of that mindset. I knew where I needed to be by what kind of time. And it was a real desperate change for me. What's your biggest, I hear you saying there's no stress, you've got all this, you're good with this, but what's been your biggest challenge kind of working with organizations or kind of getting your message out there of what you do and kind of the benefit that it can have with the individuals?
So I'm talking to organizations about a couple of things. The first thing is this big, great resignation. It's real. People are leaving jobs and they're going to other jobs for several different reasons. But what they don't understand is that when they leave their job, they take their disorganization or their lack of organization skills wherever they go. Okay. Everybody, Graham, over the last 40 years of my life, I keep hearing MBA. I'm going for my MBA. I want to get my MBA. And MBA seems to be really important to a lot of people. Okay. Never crossed my mind to get an MBA, but I listen and I understood that an MBA gets you a job, but then you get into this job and you don't know how to do this job because you don't have what I think is way more important, which is an MSA. And that's a degree in mindset, systems, and accountability. And that's what my program reinforces and offers. It's a degree in mindset, systems, and accountability. That subway story you just told me, it's completely a mindset because
absolutely.
You took the same exact subway as someone else did, but you also know that the subway may run late and therefore you're going to build in more time in order to make sure that you get there on time, right? One of my taglines for my business is, you ready?
Go on.
Because I said I would.
Okay.
No other reason than I said I would. And I'm one of those people that wants the lack of stress by honoring my word. Right? So much so that when it comes to going to a party, Marty will say to me, my husband will say to me, remember the party starts at 7, right? And I said to him, we're not going to be on time. It's the only place that I can be late is a party. Because in every other aspect of my life, I care about walking my talk. I'm not going to be late for a meeting. I'm trying to get you not to be late for a meeting. But when we go to a party on a Saturday night, all bets are off. When I get there, I get there. And we laugh about it, but it's my leeway.
Okay.
And I got to have it. I believe strongly in 80% organized. I'm not looking for 100%. I don't think it exists. And people get so hung up with needing to be right 100% around this topic that they give up. They throw in the towel. I can't be 100%, so I may as well not be anything. 80% is good enough.
That's actually really interesting. I'm talking almost daily at the moment about lowering the bar. Let's give ourselves something that we can actually get to. Let's make it practical. And when it doesn't happen, doesn't mean to say we failed. It just means it didn't happen. That's all. I mean, I actually generally wonder if I've thought about this before. It's just kind of popped up again when I accepted people being late, whether I facilitated that, where I almost gave them permission to be late rather than turn around and just. I remember the first time that I actually said to a whole session that this is really interesting because I caught the same subway as everyone else this morning. I got the same lines. I was on the same system when I got here, and it was really uncomfortable. People were really uncomfortable just being called out like that. And I had a laugh and joke about it, but I wanted to get a message out of it. But before that, it felt like I allowed it to happen. Because I went, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I get how tough it is. Thinking, but forgetting that I was playing by kind of different rules. So I'm curious, what kind of differences have you seen with organizations that manage to get that buy-in from the teams and individuals about pulling this together?
Well, that's the key. The key is you got to start at the top, right? You can't ask me to do something you're not willing to do. So we get leaders at the top and the C levels to walk the talk, to do what they're willing to ask other people to do, which is why I always like to roll out this workshop that I do that introduces the 3P Academy to the C-suite and the leadership levels so that they can get familiar with the content and the toolbox so they can start thinking about how they want the rest of their employees to engage with it, right? And I think that how you engage in learning is really important. And I have 5 rules for engagement. And they're actually the 5 rules that I use in engaging in my life that I invite people who go through this training to engage that way. Okay? My 5 rules of engagement. The first one is show up every time for yourself and others. Just show up, right? And a lot of times people are willing to show up for everybody else but themselves. I'm not willing to do that. I'm going to show up for myself and everyone else.
What does that mean? When we say show up for ourselves, what does that mean?
Be able to take a meeting with yourself as easily as you would with someone else. So I have meetings
about having time for ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Make the time to do what you say you're going to do, even if it's for yourself and not somebody else. Show up for yourself when it comes to exercise. People say to me, I can't find time to exercise. You're not going to find it. It's not going to just appear on your calendar. You have to create time to exercise, right? And then you have to show up for it. So there's this whole big thing about finding versus creating. And then the other one that I really like to change the verbiage about is work-life balance. You're never going to work as much as you play on any given day. So instead of trying to go for work-life balance, I'd rather see you go for work-life integration. Integrate personal time in the middle of your day. Go get out of your desk since you've been sitting there for 3 hours in a row and go take a 30-minute walk. Go throw the ball to your dog in the front yard, right? Integrate your life and work versus trying to make it balanced. That's a lose-lose situation.
That's a really interesting. That's actually one that we live by here in our office in Dale Carnegie. It's about work-life integration. I mentioned to you that I kind of finished at 1 a.m. this morning and back in here for 7. It's one of those days I'm working kind of out of hours. I need to integrate that within a short period of my life, and so I do other things to compensate for it. So I do other things that bring it back on board for me.
Right.
And the amount of people say to me, how do you work till 1 o'clock in the morning? It's that's a choice. It's just I take my time elsewhere.
Exactly.
Interesting. Why work-life integration? Your first person I've heard kind of talking about that practically outside this office. Interesting. What's number 3, Wendy?
All right, well, so number 2 is show up every time. Number two is no more excuses. If we let excuses run our life, they will. I've heard all of them about why I can't get organized. They're just excuses. Number 3, keep making choices. It's when you don't make a decision about something that it gets you stuck. Just keep making decisions. It might be the wrong one. You'll know when it's the wrong one and you'll pivot, right? Number 4, just do you. You don't need to do what everyone else is doing. I remember when I first, when cell phones started coming out and there were all these apps everybody was getting, I'm like, oh my God, what is that app? What is that app? And they would show me the app and I'd be like, that looks cool. I'm going to download it. And then not only did I never use it, I couldn't even tell you what it did. And so I went through all my apps, and if I can't tell you what it does and I don't use it, it's not on my phone. I don't need to do what everybody else does. Your app doesn't work for me. So just do you. Be who you are. Don't try to be like everyone else. You don't have to have the best technology. I don't have the best technology. I have the technology that works for me, that I actually know how to use. And then the last one is the most important one, I think, and that is, there are a ton of things in our life that fall into the category of it is what it is. Stop trying to change. It is what it is. COVID, it is what it is. Masks, they are what they are. Kids, you had them. You could either sell them or kill them, but they're your kids, right? Long commutes. I have people who say to me for years, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I have no time. I have a 2-hour commute every morning and every afternoon. And I'm like, well, either change your job or move your house. Like, those are the things that fall into the category of it is what it is. When we get really real about those things, it's a lot easier just to work around them.
It's interesting how we kind of put blame on other things. I have this commute. I can't do this because I'm special. My circumstance, I get how that works for everyone else, but you've actually just brought something up. I'm really curious, kind of, when I think about kind of the phone sitting there and apps, I would probably guess 80% of the apps in my phone I don't use. So I wonder if even when I look at that, it kind of begins to clutter the mind when I'm looking for things and it's not organized and it's just kind of all this information's going in. And sometimes we kind of need to cut out the information that's going in to it being the important stuff. Okay.
When we get back to the break, I'm going to share something with you about phone apps.
Oh, now you're rousing the other person. He can want straight from the Dale Carnegie book of How to Win Friends and Influence People. We're talking with Wendy Ellin here, who's our productivity consultant. We're having a fascinating discussion, just kind of around about mindset, how it's changed a little bit, but do you know what? It doesn't seem to have changed that much. It's just that we're doing it in a different environment, nothing else. We'll be right back after these messages when Wendy's going to share something really intriguing with us.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Calling all pet lovers.
Pet Avengers, assemble!
On the Professionals and Animal Lovers show, we believe the bond between animal lovers is incredibly strong. It mirrors that bond between pets and their owners. Through this program, we come together to learn, educate, and advocate.
Join us live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. at talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Mind Behind Leadership. We have Wendy Ellin with us. And Wendy, I'm going to have to make, I've just done something really unprofessional during the break. You've just made me think about picking up my phone, having a look at the apps, and I have just deleted 10 apps from my phone that I just know I don't use or I don't need anymore. I needed them for a short period. I've actually just deleted 10 apps. I feel so good. I'm sure there's a lot more to go, but talk to us. You've got some insights into this.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Graham. What color is your Uber app?
Black.
What color is FaceTime?
FaceTime is blue.
Green.
I think. No, that's what I meant.
Okay. Do you have a bank app?
Yes.
What color is it?
Yellow.
What color is Facebook?
Blue.
Do you have text on your phone?
Yeah, it's green.
It's green.
Yeah.
See, we remember apps by their color. All my apps are organized by color. And when you do that, it's only on one page. So I have a little thing there that's got all my white apps together. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I can see that.
I have white, blue, purple, pink, green, orange, multicolored, and black and pink. And it's all on one page. So a lot of people organize their apps by topic, right? All the productivity apps, all the photography apps, the finance apps. But you wind up having a gazillion pages. I only want one page. And when I think Uber, I go right to the black apps because I know that Uber is black. Just a little tidbit there.
Nice.
You asked me something earlier that I want to finish the question on. You asked about how do you talk about this with organizations versus individuals. One of the two things I want to say. I was on a call with a client last week, and the woman on the call had a T-shirt that said, "You can't love the culture and not support the people." And I thought, wow, I really like that. That really speaks to me. Because there's so much talk right now about culture in organizations. There are titles now, the people culture person, right? And there's so much talk about wellness. An organizational toolbox is completely within the wellness initiative. How do we support our employees so that at the end of the day, they have less stress, which is all about wellness, right? So
yep, absolutely.
Just thought I would throw that out there. I remember seeing that T-shirt going, "You can't love the culture and not support the people."
It's all about people, regardless of what business we're in. It's always about that. One thing that you mentioned kind of in your 5 rules was make choices. And kind of what I heard was just make the decision. Might be the wrong decision, but make the decision. We talk about that a lot here. It seems to be kind of a common theme. So one of the things, I remember one of my first guests spoke about kind of emergency planning or emergency response. And when we talk about decision making, when it's that, you make decisions in the moment with the information you've got. You know you might get more information in 5 minutes, but you can't wait. You need to make a decision and take action now. And then when you get more information, you adjust that action. But it feels like sometimes people just there's never enough information to make a decision.
They're the 100% organized, so they're not going to do it at all because they feel like they're not going to ever get to that level, right? That's that person.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. When I talk about making decisions and choices, it's not just in big decisions about our life or our business, etc. It also has to do with making decisions with things that come at you all day, like email. Make a decision about that email. Paper, make a decision about it, because clutter, Graham, is nothing more than the manifestation of indecision. It's why people have piles of crap all over their office. They're not making a decision about where it goes. So it just sits there in a pile, right? So when I talk about making decisions, I talk about it in both ways. Make a decision. Something's coming in at you. Do you need it? No, then toss it. Do you need it to give it to somebody else? Great, then forward it.
Okay, so here's an excuse that I've used in the past. Not that I would use it now, obviously, Wendy, because I'm extremely well organized. But maybe in the past that I might need this. I want it to hand. So I'm going to keep that bit of paper because you never know. And guess what? I probably tend not to use it. But I know it's good information, so I kind of keep it there.
Well, with the technology that we have available to us these days, I'm fine for anything that's on paper to be scanned and filed. You could keep it versus in a piece of paper. Look, I always talk about how I straddle the paper/technology world. Do you? You have paper in your life?
Do I have paper in my life? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we straddle the paper/technology world. If you're going to live that way, you have to have a system for both. Okay. I have a system for paper and I have a system for technology, and I work both systems and they work for me. But what I never have is a pile anywhere, because I have a system for paper.
What if your system's a pile?
There you go. If it works for you, it works for me.
I'm curious. We kind of mentioned this earlier. A coach being realistic, because I know you do training. You're an author, but we're also talking about being a coach. What do you think some of the biggest kind of misconceptions are about if you mention to somebody that you're a coach, or this is kind of what your expertise is?
I look at a coach as a partner. When I partner with my clients who I do one-on-one coaching with. I'm partnering with them. A lot of people that I work with, I'm not just coaching them in the organization space. I'm coaching them in the business growth space. Entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. Not only do they not have systems, but they don't have strategies for how to grow a business. And I could I'm training off of 21 years of knowing what not to do, quite frankly, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And helping them weave in the systems that I teach as I'm helping them get to what their business goals are. Okay. But I look at a coach as a partner. And the first thing about coaches is the person has to be coachable, right?
How do you spot that? How do you see that early if somebody's coachable?
Oh, I literally just fired a client that wasn't coachable, that didn't show up, that never honored a word even about our appointments, that really wasn't interested. I'm like, I can't do this. It's like swimming upstream. My arms are getting tired. That's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
If you're not as invested in this experience or more than I am in this, not going to work.
You know what? There's so many misconceptions about coaching, about how we approach it, and about who needs it. And yet the highest performance almost in every walk of life have a coach. They've got somebody there that's going to help them make that adjustment, or even just challenge what they're doing. Wendy, we're coming to now. We've only got a couple of minutes left. I'm curious, what's the one client or kind of interaction that you've had that you've gone, that was just kind of the biggest impact that could have happened? I didn't see that coming. What do you think's been one of the biggest ones?
Oh, I have a client that was working in a company in Oklahoma City that was really, really, really in a bad place about her job. And I think she thought she was going to get fired, and there might have been a chance that she was going to get fired, but she really was good at what she did, but she just couldn't get her shit together. Just that simple. And I flew out to Oklahoma and spent 8 hours in her cubicle and completely transformed the way she operated by walking her, setting up the systems that I teach. And at the end of the experience, she was sobbing. And I said, tell me what the emotion is about, because I get it. She said, Wendy, now I can take a sick day. And I thought, what? She said, I could never take a sick day because I was always afraid that somebody would not be able to find anything in my absence. And I'm thinking, if I had to come into that cubicle every day, I have to take a sick day every day. Well, not only did she get to take a sick day, but she got pregnant and 3 months later left on maternity leave with peace of mind.
Wendy, what a story to finish this off. Thank you so much for your time. So the 5 rules: show up, no more excuses, make choices, just do you, and it is what it is. Lower that bar, do it to 80% and see what happens there. Wendy Ellin, thank you so much. We'll make sure in all the social media that we give your we'll give your how people can contact you. You've been listening to The Mind Behind Leadership. My name is Graham Dobbin. We're live here on talkradio.nyc. I thank you to Dylan in the background for keeping us right, and we'll see you again next week. Take care. Good on.
Thank you.